one of the things that you've been tracking for a long time is this concept of big data. And what I'd love for you to do is recap briefly what's your definition of big data, and then kind of where are we at with big data right now?
Sure. So we call big data when you have to think about the size of the data. Nowadays, with faster hardware and software, it can be pretty big amounts, and you say, oh, that's okay, a terabyte, yeah, I can handle that. But 5 terabytes, wow, I need to think about how performance considerations, archiving, and all sorts of other considerations. So we get in a notion where the size of the data becomes part of the equation. And basically the answer in almost every case is parallelization. There's lots going on around that. One of the things we've been tracking a lot is MapReduce and Hadoop, which is an open source software tool people can use to do MapReduce, which is a way of resilient handling of parallel data. Two things that are going on there is that there's now databases that are kind of interleaved with Hadoop. It's called Hadoop DB. It's coming out of Yale. And we just recently heard about a new pipeline option for Hadoop, which changes it from just being a batch process to more real-time processing. And this can really be a help for people who are like kind of experimenting with their data. They can get earlier results more quickly and really manage the efficiency of their data.
So you don't need to go through the entire cycle of processing to discover,
right,
I made a mistake.
Right. And you can or see that you're on the right track.
Right.
And then go further with it from there.
Talking about big data leads to an interesting question, which is that when technology opens up a new feasibility or a new capacity to do something, you then start to see things change around that capacity, meaning new roles, responsibilities, new job types start to come in. And data science is one of these capacities or capabilities you've been talking about. You want to talk to me briefly about data science and the need for data scientists in organizations?
Sure. I mean, what we're seeing is this kind of convergence of a lot of skills that were more, in some cases, academic or siloed. But when you've got all this data and you want to make sense of it, you certainly need to know stats and probabilities and stuff like that. But you also need to know visualization. You probably need to know natural language processing. What's making your data big? A lot of it is probably unstructured text and other unstructured pieces of data like videos and audios and things like that. Summarizing, categorizing. Once you get it, how do you tell someone else what's there? How do you communicate all this easily? So now you've got this amalgam of skills that, like I said, used to be in the academics or only big companies. Well, now you take a small company like Twitter, they really need data science to make sense of their business as they move to revenue models and so forth. LinkedIn is another example where they've hired an eclectic group of folks with different skills and have really enhanced the not only the usability but the value to people using the LinkedIn service, particularly in this tough economic times. So you got big data on the one side. That's one thing, you got to manage it. Now you need to make sense of it. And there's a lot to it. One thing I didn't mention was machine learning, which used to be called artificial intelligence. It ends up on the way to finding out more. It's an important piece. Humans are still very much a part of the equation, and we're really interested in things like mechanical Turks. We can bring humans in and mix it in with the machine learning as a way to make sense of data and categorize things.
So to summarize that, though, that increasingly more and more organizations are having to deal with big data, meaning we've got so much data we're not sure exactly how to effectively or efficiently process it. Then there's this new role that's coming along that's saying we need people to make sense of it, make it actionable, and surface it maybe via visualization and just communicate it effectively so that human beings can be involved in the process of decision-making around that data.
Absolutely.
So to summarize that, though, that increasingly more and more organizations are having to deal with big data, meaning we've got so much data we're not sure exactly how to effectively or efficiently process it. Then there's this new role that's coming along that's saying we need people to make sense of it, make it actionable, and surface it maybe via visualization and just communicate it effectively so that human beings can be involved in the process of decision-making around that data.
Absolutely. And what's different, people sometimes call this business intelligence, which came out of looking at operations data, your order entry system. Well, things are a lot different now. And so you need really more sophisticated ways of distilling what you know down. And so, I mean, a good visualization that turns something into a good story is just going to resonate a lot more to make that data something you can take actions and make decisions around than like a simple chart that gets delivered to everyone.
You mentioned a couple of companies that do this well, that manage data and also have the kind of capabilities, the human capabilities and skills to do this well. Could you just elaborate on that further? What companies are dealing with big data well?
Yeah, I'll bring up LinkedIn again because we've even written a research article about them. They're bringing all this, so they have a lot of data about people. People data can be hard to make sense of, so they have to do a lot of munging, a lot of big data work to bring that together. They've got these kind of data munging experts. In fact, they've written their own key value data store. Then they've got these great visualization guys, and if you've been on the site, you've probably seen some of their visualization, and it's a pretty clean-looking site. They've spent a lot of attention to design. But they've also added these tools that let you investigate more other people who have the kind of job you want, what kind of backgrounds they had. So now they're taking out data, presenting it. They're providing services to recruiters. It's just how they make their money, that let them find the right kind of people that these recruiters want to place people. They don't want to waste time. Well, they're getting a big bang for their buck because of natural language processing and other text-based analysis that help you find what backgrounds might be appropriate for the positions you're looking for. So we think they're a good example. Twitter, it's unclear what their revenue model is going to be, but what they're doing a lot of is trying to turn their data into some kind of business story for people, sentiment analysis kinds of things, being able to search real time for breaking news that might happen. The way that companies like Comcast and I did some others who are following Twitter to see if people are making negative or positive comments and following up with that. Well, the reason they're able to get to that is because the search is so much better at Twitter than it used to be. The multi-decked tools like TweetDeck and People Browser and stuff mean that you can follow a lot more what's going on, and there's some great analytic tools associated with those products as well that are coming out. So if you look at a lot of the successful companies, a lot of them end up being very analytic, like rely on analytics. Right. So Google's, Amazon's, Walmart, folks like that. And a lot of small companies as well. And I think that's the big difference is you used to not hire someone like that very early on, and now that might be a key role for going forward.